Now it's time to grade the defense, Foster. I want to know what you think about how did you grade the defense?
Okay, so everybody's jumping on the defense's back. When it's all said and done, we went to overtime. It was on the defense to make a stop or at least hold them to a field goal. We were not able to do that. We kind of talked about how the offense affected because what happens is we say 37 points scored. That means the defense gave up 40 points. But we know that's not really.
It's not how it works.
I mean, their job is to hold the offense, correct? But
Correct.
On several occasions, the offense kind of put them in a compromising situation. Obviously, a pick six absolutely has nothing to do with the defense.
Nothing.
The fumble was tough. That put them in a bad situation. And obviously, the turnover on downs, same kind of deal. Mm-hmm. Overall, I did give them a C. I did give them a C minus. They stopped the run after the first drive. They pretty much ran at will, passed at will. The defense was looking real shaky. Beyond that, I think they did a pretty good job of stopping the run after that. Outside of Geno Smith getting loose a few times, but I think Walker ended up with 70 yards rushing. No, 40 yards rushing. 40 yards rushing.
It was great. more than to be desired, though.
Yeah, I mean, he had 2 touchdowns. He did have 2 rushing touchdowns, but he only had 43 yards rushing, which is not good at all. I mean, Montgomery in one half had 60, 70 yards. So
he
had 67 yards in one half. He was hurt the whole second half, right? Or not the whole second half, but a good amount of it. So I think they did a decent job stopping the run. Obviously, the secondary got torched. I put a decent amount of that blame on the pass rush because you gotta. It's tough in the secondary, and when the quarterbacks got all day to go through his reads and plays break down, it's tough to cover those guys. But yeah, Jerry Jacobs was definitely he's definitely getting bombed online as far as people looking at the stats and looking at who got off. I mean, Lockett got very busy out there on him. Lockett had 2 touchdowns. Didn't have a ton of yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. Metcalf had 75 yards. The tight ends was the most glaring thing for me. I think they went 3 deep with tight ends, and just when it mattered the most, Font was somebody that we could not stop. But yeah, the secondary kind of got exposed yesterday, and ultimately we needed in the overtime, we needed them to at least hold it to a field goal, and they eventually scored. There was some controversial calls out there as far as the holding and stuff like that, but what can you do? We need somebody besides Hutch to get to the quarterback. We found out today, obviously, James Houston is going to be out for a significant period of time, and we got a couple injuries in the defensive line. So next man up, Roderick Martin, the Aquara brothers. Kaminsky's got to step up. We got some work to do. We got 1 sack because I kind of missed the fact that we got 1 sack because it was kind of a covered sack by Anzalone. So we got off the schneid in that regards, but that ain't an authentic sack from a defensive lineman. Or a blitzer per se. So gotta make some plays. Gotta turn the ball over. That's the one thing that was huge for us last week is Brian Branch's pick six. We see how the pick sixes can shift the momentum of a game. So
yeah. So I did you look at my notes for some odd reason because we both have the same grades. I'm gonna read some stats. I'm gonna tell you a couple of stats. Right? You mentioned one of them. I have one lined up. and that was the fact that we only had 1 sack. That was in the 4th quarter.
End of the game.
End of the game. I got another stat. 12 receptions, 180 yards. Yes, I'm still talking about the defense. Those were the amount of reception yardage that Jerry Jacobs allowed when he was covering somebody. He
Did we
allowed
jinx him?
12. He was our featured player of the week last week. And
It's
on
starting to
him, it's been recorded that he allowed 12 receptions and 180 yards. I mean, golly. The lack of pass rush. Geno looked like a star once again. Just allowing. Now, the score was 37-31. I'm going to take away 14 of those points against the defense because of the pick six and because of allowing the fumble that gave them the ball on the 20 or 25, whatever it was. You take away those 14 points, they have 23 points, but they were still moving the ball. So,
and they missed 2 field goals. Don't forget about that.
They missed 2 field goals.
At least 2, right? Yeah. So
they missed 2 field goals. So again, if you add those field goals, that's 29 points. I don't give them a failing grade, but they didn't play very well, and I give them a C.